James continues to describe the aftermath of the Galatians' arrival, very public arrival in Jerusalem. Roughly, clamorously, the Galatians explained to Judas Barsabbas and to me the notion of collecting money for the poor in Jerusalem had come from Saul. They called him Paulus. They loved the idea from the start. Yes, Paulus, Barsabbas said with a sigh. The wretch who turned your heads and hearts against me. He never thought to teach you, did he, that the poor are not those who sit in the temple and beg. I would have told you that. They are the Anawim, the people who attend the temple in piety and in righteousness, people who do not trust in their own strength, but place every confidence in God. They are distinguished by their faithfulness, not by their physical condition. Judas Barsabbas is frightfully thin, as if he eats air, but as long as a temple candle. He stared at the white giants a moment, then said, "Look at me. Do I look beggarly? Yet I am one of the Anawim. Look at me. We put oil on our heads and wash our faces and fast in private. We're the remnant of the remnants of Israel." With guttural barks of recognition, the Galatians heaved up their bags of coin and carried them to Barsabbas where he sat. They were just about to pour them out at his feet when he howled, "No, no, no!" and leaped backward as if the money were on fire. "I don't want it," he cried. "We can't take it. It's tainted." The Galatians were stunned to silence. No greater blow could have been delivered to them than this blow to their generosity, their conviction, their purpose, their good hearts. Still holding his bag, the blondest and biggest of the men gazed at Barsabbas, blinking back a sudden spring of tears. I knew what Barsabbas meant, of course, but I thought his response was overdramatic, unnecessary, until he offered the Galatians a shrewd solution to their dilemma. "Here, in Jerusalem," he said, slowly, with the air of thinking aloud, "here in the sacred city of God, Gentile money is an abomination, a corruption, and a corrupter, too. The Anawim especially would rather go hungry than to touch it." Now Barsabbas resumed the gaze of the weeping giant and spoke directly to him. "But you have come a long way, haven't you?" The giant nodded like a miserable child, a very long way. "Sir," said Barsabbas, pointing toward the bag of coin, "if you were not a Gentile, this would not be Gentile money, would it?" The giant shook his head. "Then this is what you must do. Cease to be a Gentile. Become at one with us." Let me attest to the truest intentions of Judas Barsabbas. He was not a greedy man. Though the money would be useful to the Anawim, those who chose poverty and those who had poverty forced on them, the sick, the downtrodden, widows, orphans, it was not the money that Barsabbas was after. He had, as he believed, a deeper, more godly design. In thick Greek, the giant said, "Ti medei poien." What must I do? And Judas Barsabbas answered, "Be circumcised." Yesterday, as we walked past the Antonia, Judas Barsabbas pointed to a tall man with raven locks, black hair bound in leather cords falling down his back, a strong, handsome head. I need to speak with that man, he said. I recognized the face immediately, but I couldn't recall a name. Who is he? I asked. Mattathias the Zealot. I want to tell him that the Galatian men have all been circumcised. It was then that I realized who this Mattathias is. He's the man that I met at the house of Saul's sister. He is her husband, the despiser of her brother. If some Roman thing enters this house living, he'll leave it dead. I'll kill him myself. Judas, I said, does he know Saul? Do you think he has ever met Saul? Barsabbas looked at me. Why did you mention Saul just now? This Mattathias is his brother-in-law, I said. Still, Barsabbas looked at me as if considering his answer. Then he said, 23 years ago, they traveled north together to arrest believers in Damascus. It was then that Mattathias discovered the treachery and wickedness of Saul. Moreover, Mattathias actually witnessed God's judgment on the man, for God struck him blind. Mattathias has made a vow to kill Saul on sight. He says God will not blame him if he takes Saul's life. Rather, God will blame him if he has the chance and doesn't. Barsabbas, I whispered, you share these sentiments? Not, he said, to the death. But I will confess, it was our mutual loathing of Saul that caused us to talk in the first place. Saul, this is James. If I could find you, I would write to you. Not out of admiration, though 23 years ago I did admire your grasp of Torah. Not out of love, the once you kissed me and stirred that coal in my heart. I would write you for the same reason that I clothe the naked and feed the hungry, evidence of my faith and love for the Lord of both of us. Saul, I would say, avoid Jerusalem. Live the rest of your days anywhere else in the empire, not here. God bless you for remembering the poor in this place, but send every further collection. Don't bring it. You would be in way too much danger here. Don't come. James.